Nietzsche didn't give you comfort, he gave you weapons. These 7 truths aren't meant to make you feel good, they're meant to make you unbreakable. What if the philosophy you've been avoiding, the one that sounds too harsh, too cold, too dark, is the only thing that could actually save you? Not the affirmations, not the quotes on a coffee mug, the truths you don't want to hear. Stay with me. By the end of this, something in you will either break or harden. 1. You are not special, and that's your first problem. Nietzsche attacked one of the most comforting lies humans tell themselves, that they are inherently valuable, simply for existing. You weren't born worth something. Value isn't handed to you at birth like a birthright. It's created through action, through output, through what you actually do with the hours you're given. This is uncomfortable, because most of us were raised to believe the opposite. We were told we're special just by being us. That belief feels warm. It's also a trap, because it quietly gives you permission to do nothing and still feel entitled to something. Think about the artist who creates one piece, hides it in a drawer, and waits for someone to discover them. They tell themselves the world just hasn't recognized their talent yet. Meanwhile, years pass. The drawer fills up. Recognition never comes, because recognition was never the missing ingredient. Action was. Or think about the professional who assumes a promotion is coming because they've been loyal, because they showed up, because they feel like they've put in the time. They haven't built a skill anyone can point to. So when the promotion goes to someone else, they call it unfair. It wasn't unfair. It was earned by someone who built something real instead of waiting to be noticed. Believing you're special without proof is a quiet form of self-sabotage. It delays growth. It breeds entitlement. It convinces you that the universe owes you something it never promised. Write down one thing you currently expect to be special at, without ever having proven it through consistent effort. Look at it. That's the first illusion to burn. 2. Your conscience is not sacred. It's training from others. Nietzsche called morality herd instinct, and he meant it as an insult. The voice in your head that whispers, "That's wrong," or "You shouldn't do that," feels like your own. It feels like deep, personal wisdom. But most of it was installed. It came from your culture, your family, your environment, absorbed so early and so completely that it now feels like instinct instead of conditioning. This matters more than it sounds like it should, because you cannot be mentally strong while unconsciously obeying rules you never chose and never examined. Consider someone who refuses to negotiate their salary because they were taught that asking for more is greedy. That belief wasn't reasoned out. It was absorbed from people who were themselves afraid to ask, so they accept less, year after year, and call it humility. Or consider someone who never starts anything risky because a stable job is the responsible thing to do. Not because they examined the actual risk and decided against it, but because the herd around them treats stability as a moral virtue and risk as recklessness. They stay safe. They also stay exactly where they started. Identify one rule you follow automatically, one you've never once questioned, and ask, plainly, is this mine, or did I inherit it? 3. Safety is a lie. You're already dying, so stop pretending. Nietzsche saw life as fundamentally unstable, risk, change, and death woven into every moment. Safety, in his view, isn't a real condition. It's a story we tell ourselves to avoid looking directly at how temporary everything is. Chasing safety above all else isn't wisdom. It's a slow form of self-erasure. Every choice made purely to avoid risk is also a choice to avoid growth. Picture someone who saves every spare dollar for a retirement they picture as a reward. Decades from now, finally they'll live. But they never travel, never take the harder path, never spend a single year actually living in the present. When that future arrives, the bank account is full, the life is empty. They optimized for safety and lost the only thing that was ever guaranteed, this moment, right now. Or picture someone who avoids every conflict because confrontation feels dangerous. They stay quiet in meetings, swallow disagreements, never push back. Over time, they don't become safe, they become invisible. People stop asking their opinion. Resentment builds where a voice used to be. Ask yourself one question today. What am I avoiding right now, purely because I want to feel safe? Write the answer down. You don't have to act on it yet. You just have to stop pretending it's not there. 4. Pain is not a mistake. It's the signal that you're growing. At the center of Nietzsche's thought is a brutal idea. Suffering isn't a malfunction. It's the mechanism through which strength is built. Pain is not punishment for doing something wrong. It's evidence that you're doing something hard enough to matter. Avoiding pain, then, isn't self-care. It's avoiding the exact friction your growth depends on. Mental strength means moving toward discomfort on purpose, not fleeing from it the moment it appears. Take a student who deliberately studies the subjects that confuse and frustrate them, instead of repeating the material they already understand. It's slower, it's more frustrating. It's also the only path that actually expands their mind. Compare that to the student who only reviews what's easy. They feel productive, and they learn almost nothing new. Or take a leader who sits their team down and names the problem nobody wants to mention, the missed deadlines, the tension, the thing everyone's been pretending not to notice. It's uncomfortable in the room, but it builds trust, because people respect someone willing to face friction directly. The leader who avoids that conversation keeps the peace for a week and loses authority for a year. Choose one painful conversation or task you've been postponing and do it this week, not when you feel ready. This week. 5. Nobody will save you, and they're not supposed to. Nietzsche's most famous declaration, "God is dead," wasn't really about religion. It was about the collapse of every external savior. No destiny written for you, no leader coming to rescue you, no force outside yourself responsible for your outcome. You are the only one positioned to save yourself, and that responsibility cannot be transferred, postponed, or outsourced. Expecting rescue isn't hope, it's quiet paralysis dressed up as patience. Think of someone waiting for a mentor to magically appear and fix the direction of their career. They keep their effort small because they're convinced a guide is coming who will hand them the missing piece. The mentor never arrives because mentorship finds people already in motion, not people standing still waiting to be chosen. Or think of someone who enters relationship after relationship expecting a partner to complete something missing inside them. No partner can do that. Eventually they become someone who feels abandoned by everyone, when the truth is, they were waiting for an external rescue that was never coming. Write down one thing you're currently waiting for someone else to do for you, and do it yourself, starting today. 6. Mediocrity is your default. Excellence is chosen through suffering. Nietzsche treated mediocrity as the natural resting state of every person. Nobody starts excellent. Excellence isn't talent, and it isn't luck. It's earned through hardship that is chosen voluntarily, repeatedly, long after motivation disappears. Accepting mediocrity as just who you are isn't humility. It's a slow death of whatever potential you were actually capable of reaching. Picture a musician who practices one disciplined hour every single day, working through the parts that sound bad and feel frustrating. Over a year, that compounds into real skill. Compare that to someone who practices 10 scattered minutes, only when they feel inspired, and a year later, they're in the exact same place they started. Or picture a speaker who rehearses the same presentation 50 times before walking on stage, adjusting pacing, tightening the opening, killing the filler words. They command the room because the room can feel the preparation. The speaker who wings it loses the audience in the first 90 seconds and never gets them back. Pick one skill and commit to 30 days of deliberately hard practice, not comfortable repetition, hard practice. 7. You will be hated for becoming strong, and that's proof you're doing it right. Nietzsche understood something most people spend their whole lives avoiding. Strong people make weak people uncomfortable, simply by existing differently. your growth will be read by some as judgment, even when you say nothing at all. Being disliked for changing isn't a sign you've gone wrong. It's frequently the clearest evidence that you've broken a pattern someone else depended on you to keep. Mental strength means tolerating that discomfort instead of shrinking back to make everyone comfortable again. Think of someone who finally stops attending the same toxic family gathering, year after year, that always ends in the same arguments. The family calls them cold, distant, dramatic for leaving. What they actually did was protect their own peace, and the label cold is just what people call boundaries they don't like. Or think of someone who quits drinking and stops showing up to the chaotic nights out that used to define their friendships. Friends call them judgmental, boring, different. What's actually happening is that their stillness is exposing something those friends haven't been willing to face about their own lives. Identify one person whose disapproval has been quietly shaping your choices, and instead of shrinking from it, treat it as proof you're moving somewhere they can't follow yet. These truths aren't kind. They were never meant to be. They're necessary. Mental strength isn't given to you. It isn't inherited, and it isn't granted by anyone with authority over your life. It's taken through brutal honesty, applied one uncomfortable truth at a time. So here's the only question that matters now. Which truth will you face first? Which truth hit you hardest? Tell me in the comments below. If you know someone who's been sleepwalking through their own life, send this to them. Share it with someone who needs to wake up.